Well, I'd like to follow on from an earlier movie where we discussed how you move data from the Moasure tool, where you're using it to create base plans for CAD software, into the software. And in this case, we're using gCADPlus as the CAD software. But you could be using AutoCAD or any other CAD software. The Moasure tool generates a DXF file, and we showed that if you create a new drawing, you can go to File and then DXF tool and bring the DXF tool in. What it gives you is a complex shape where obviously the operators put a line horizontally across, another line, but this time at an angle, and then drawn probably, two passes with the device. And you can see that Moasure puts data points as you're dragging along the surface. And I made the suggestion that maybe there's an easier way of getting a more fluid looking shape. And I've done some experimentation, and I've tried to suggest one way you might be able to deal with that. I'll turn on a layer that I've called red lines here, and what I've done, I can imagine that the operator wanted in fact to have a vertical line on one side of this garden bed, so I've drawn a single line from the end of the horizontal border for the garden bed. And what I've done then, instead of drawing a complex line with lots of vertices, I've drawn using the polyline command, and I started it down here at the end of that horizontal line and just put, in fact, 12 data points all the way to meet with the line which isn't vertical. And I imagine that you'd want that right-hand side of the garden bed to be a vertical line. So to illustrate now, one technique you can use to get this point here moved across correctly, all we need to do is to reverse that vertex or delete it so it's gone. Now we can move this one here to the intersection of the red line and the Moasure line, and we're done. Having done that, and I'll hit escape, we can use the end of the new polyline that I've constructed to trim off. So it's modify and trim. The cutting edge will be this line, and right click to remove that one. So now I'll be happy enough to remove this line here and come in here, remove that, and then deal with, trim things up and clean things up like so. It's a little tedious, but I believe that's a nicer looking shape, and so you can clean things up. Well, I'll finish by matching the properties of the original Moasure line and that one over there. So we're now back to where we were to begin with. Well, let's imagine this garden bed need to be filled with some colour. We could go select a colour, change our drawing colour, use true colour perhaps. You'd probably want some sort of very faint fill in, let's imagine there. So our drawing colour is now true colour, and we can say draw hatch, pick a point, gCADPlus finds the boundary, and we're going to fill it with a solid fill. Be inclined to add another dimension there, pick those two underlying lines and bring those to the front, and I'm relatively happy with that. We'll pop this solid now and use tools and send it to the back. We could even, if we were so inclined, to pick that line and that one, change the colour away from the Moasure one and just make them by layer. We could even give them a specific line type. We take fence line 2 and set our line type scale to, I'll just try 50 to start with. And there's an indication that we're doing some sort of trellis or screening structure. Pick them again. Obviously a line type scale of 50 is too high, too large. Now we can label those timber screen fence to 1800 millimeters high and so on. So I hope that assists in dealing with Moasure.